I mean, why would Angel Reese want Caitlin Clark in this new league? If Caitlin Clark is there, the spotlight of Angel Reese, it becomes a shadow.
For months, a single question has lingered over women's basketball. Who truly moves the needle? That question exploded into the open the moment Caitlin Clark's name was linked to Unrivaled. Fans erupted in celebration. Executives scrambled behind the scenes, and the entire WNBA ecosystem was forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. Amid the chaos, Angel Reese's reaction, subtle to some, explosive to others, became impossible to ignore, hinting at tensions and truths that words alone could never fully capture.
Unfortunately, it's a star that most people don't like.
Unrivaled is a new professional women's basketball league designed to fill the off-season gap with a condensed format, a short schedule, and strong media backing. Its mission is to keep the spotlight on the sport during a time when women's basketball usually fades from public view. But the challenge is clear. Without enough visibility, star power, and relevance, even the boldest new league risks being overlooked.
They're offering Caitlin Clark $1 million for 2 months of her services. $1 million to carry a new basketball league from January to March.
Despite its ambitious vision and strong financial backing, Unrivaled quickly ran into a familiar problem. Fans weren't sure who they were supposed to care about. Multiple media analysts openly questioned whether the league had a true breakout star, someone capable of driving ratings, selling tickets, and attracting major sponsorships.
Unrivaled is going to feature the 30 best pretend basketball players, with the vast majority of them being anonymous. Now, they do have one star committed to playing in the league.
Caitlin Clark is not just a player. She's an economic force. From college to the pros, her presence has consistently delivered record-breaking attendance, historic television ratings, and unprecedented mainstream coverage. This isn't opinion or hype. It's documented reality.
And in the same vein, they were also liking negative comments about Caitlin Clark from the official Unrivaled basketball Instagram account, during the season. So all of these things were just...
Industry insiders say that once Caitlin Clark's availability became realistic, the conversation around Unrivaled changed overnight. Sponsors suddenly leaned in. Networks started paying attention. Ticket projections jumped, not because the league transformed, but because one name entered the discussion.
Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late?
Angel Reese is a star in her own right, a champion, a cultural voice, and a player who has consistently spoken out about compensation, visibility, and respect in women's sports. And that context matters.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need any money. She has plenty of endorsement deals. I think she is totally fine. And I think for her body and for her mental health, it might not be the best thing for her.
But the moment Caitlin Clark entered the Unrivaled conversation, the contrast became impossible to ignore.
So do I think Caitlin Clark should join Unrivaled? I'm not so sure. I think that the money needs to be high. It needs to be in the millions. It needs to be at least what Cube offered her for the big three at minimum.
Reese never directly attacked Caitlin Clark, but the timing, tone, and public behavior told a different story, at least to fans watching closely. Liked posts, cryptic comments, and interviews framed around who really deserves attention all fueled the narrative. In today's media ecosystem, silence can speak just as loudly as words.
I thought WNBA players didn't like Caitlin Clark.
This isn't new. Reese and Clark have been linked since college, their rivalry amplified by social media, headlines, and endless debate. One was cast as the villain, the other marketed as the hero, and now that same dynamic has followed them into the professional world. And now, Angel Reese is playing in this league.
So Angel Reese is playing in this league. Dejanay Carrington is playing in this league. Obviously, I feel like that's the biggest name where there is some sort of tension. Whether there's tension between Caitlin and Dejanay, we don't know, but there is still that narrative.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. Leagues don't survive on fairness. They survive on attention. And Caitlin Clark brings eyeballs that translate into money, opportunity, and growth for everyone involved.
This is your opportunity to see if you can survive without her. This is your opportunity to see if Angel Reese is enough of a draw to carry a new league. I think the answer's no, but
if Clark joins Unrivaled, it sparks a larger conversation, not about jealousy, but about structural imbalance. Why does a single player carry an entire ecosystem? And what happens if others start following the money?
What Ice Cube offered Caitlyn before the Big Three season began. I commend Ice Cube because you have to think about the type of...
So here's the real question, and it has nothing to do with Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark personally. Is women's basketball finally ready to confront how star power actually works? Or will it keep pretending that every player moves the same needle, even when the numbers clearly say otherwise?
here's the potential problem. Caitlin Clark already has money. She signed a $28 million deal with Nike. She's got endorsement deals from State.
The announcement that Caitlin Clark is being linked to the new Unrivaled Women's Basketball League has sent shockwaves through the WNBA world, and Angel Reese's reaction has become a major talking point across sports media. This isn't just about one player joining another league. It's about power, visibility, money, and an uncomfortable truth the women's game continues to wrestle with. Not all stars move the needle the same way. Unrivaled was introduced as a bold off-season alternative, a 3-on-3 league designed to keep women's basketball relevant during the WNBA break. With major media backing and ambitious promises, it positioned itself as a disruptor. Yet from the start, analysts questioned whether the league had the star power necessary to survive, because talent alone isn't enough in modern sports. Attention is the real currency. For months, Unrivaled lacked a name that could guarantee it, until Caitlin Clark entered the conversation. Clark is not just a great player, she's a proven ratings engine. From record-breaking college viewership to sold-out WNBA arenas, her presence consistently translates into ticket sales, TV numbers, and sponsor interest. Networks don't speculate about Clark's impact, they measure it, which is why her potential involvement immediately reframed the league's future almost overnight. Angel Reese's response must be understood in context. Reese has built her brand as both a dominant player and a vocal advocate for better pay, respect, and equity in women's basketball, never hiding her frustration with how the system values players. But when Clark became the focal point of Unrivaled's momentum, the contrast was unavoidable. Reese didn't issue a direct attack, but subtle reactions, timing, and past statements fueled online speculation. In today's sports media landscape, perception often matters as much as intention. The Clark-Reese dynamic has history. Their rivalry, amplified during the LSU-Iowa College championship run, became more than basketball. It was framed as hero versus villain, marketability versus attitude, celebration versus criticism. That narrative never disappeared. It simply followed both players into the professional ranks, where business realities make the differences even sharper. Here's the uncomfortable truth many avoid saying out loud. Leagues survive on attention, not equality. Clark draws casual fans, non-traditional viewers, and corporate sponsors. That doesn't diminish the talent or importance of other stars, but it explains why executives prioritize her presence. When one player can change a league's financial outlook, decisions stop being emotional and start being economic. This isn't really about Reese being upset or Clark being favored. It's about a system that places enormous weight on individual star power because the ecosystem itself is still fragile. If Clark joins Unrivaled, she could reshape off-season basketball and pressure the WNBA to rethink its financial structure. If she doesn't, it exposes how dependent new leagues are on a single superstar. In the end, the question isn't who deserves more. It's whether women's basketball is ready to confront how influence truly works and what happens when one player holds the leverage everyone else wants.